Where was I? Oh, here it is. On Foucault's Madness and Civilization. At the end of the Middle Ages, leprosy disappeared from the Western world.
A strange disappearance, which was doubtless not the long-sought effect of obscure medical practices, but the spontaneous result of segregation. Leprosy withdrew, leaving derelict these low places and these rites, which are intended not to suppress it, but to keep it at a sacred distance. What doubtless remained longer than leprosy, and would persist when the lazar houses had been empty for years, were the values and images attached to the figure of the leper, as well as the meaning of his exclusion, the social importance of that insistent and fearful figure which was not driven off without first being inscribed within a sacred circle. As the madman replaced the leper, the mentally ill person was now a subhuman and beastly scapegoat. Hence the need to protect others.
The more well-documented versions of otherness that have replaced the social construct behind the medieval leper and the ship of fools of the Renaissance include McCarthyism in the 1950s and the stigma attached to AIDS in the 1980s. History seems both circular and linear. Socioeconomic systems may wax and wane, but folly is constant. Hi. Hi, how's it going? Good. You? Just finishing something up for a presentation seminar tomorrow. Good luck with that. Thanks. How does one explain the motivation behind voluntary servitude?
It is not a problem of false consciousness or education. It is a problem of desire. In its preface to the Anti-Oedipus, Michel Foucault locates this problem at the center of their explorations. In his view, the strategic adversary of Deleuze and Guattari is the fascist tendencies implicit in all of us, informing our judgment and behavior, the fascism that causes us to love power, the desire, the very thing that dominates and exploits us. Foucault was right when he observed that power does not only denote coercion and repression. Power relations are tolerated and even desired, because they produce identity, give meaning, procure pleasure. Jacques Lacan indicated the crucial role of enjoyment in securing obedience. In Lacan, the superego commands enjoy.
What is that voice? Do you hear that? Oh, it's just a voiceover, for lofty thoughts and limited time. Oh, I thought I was losing it. So, what's your presentation about? It's about failure. And it's about the absence and presence of space. So you read about John Cage? Yeah, among others. The music I wrote comes from texts specifically from a list of homeless people who died as a direct result of homelessness. You're a weekend activist. We're all indirectly responsible for the bad behavior of our government. Listen to this. Hal Foster from Princeton writes, "For all the discussion of failed states elsewhere, our own United States government came to operate routinely and destructively out of bounds. Prior to Bush and Blair, Reagan and Thatcher led the charge of neoliberalism with a battle cry, 'There is no such thing as society,' targeting the most vulnerable, the underclass, gays and lesbians, immigrants, in ways that made their lives even more precarious. Over the last decade, this condition became all but pervasive, and it is this heightened insecurity that much art has attempted to manifest, even to exacerbate." Cesko Fatser writes, "So what kind of critical spatial practice would we need to invent to relate to these confusing social realities? We first have to accept that the underlying dynamic and incomprehensible conflict between actualities, desires, and practice are forces of reality. What the? That's much better. She was getting boring.